Welcome to Grit with Wisdom. This is the podcast that delves deep into the inner psyche of mountain bikers from all aspects of our sport in order to discover the tools and the tactics that can help us have more fun out on the trails more often. Our aim here is to help you understand what it takes to push our own personal boundaries in the sport we love from a mental and emotional perspective. Today on the podcast, I'm sitting down here in Queenstown with Louise-Anna Ferguson, or Lou for short. Lou is a professional mountain biker from Fort William in Scotland and is now based here in the mountain bike wonderland that is Queenstown in New Zealand. Known for letting her riding do the talking, Lou is incredibly passionate about bringing everyone up in the sport and has been a key player in a bunch of women's progression camps and freeride events. Having just come back from her second full season racing all around the world in the Downhill World Cup, Crankworx and the Red Bull Formation, I'm super excited to sit down for a chat and learn about how she made all of this happen. Lou, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. It's good to be here.
Stoked to have you here. We just had a fantastic lap down the bike park there. Bit of a mix of trails.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track of what you're actually riding because there's so many options. But yeah, I feel like we had a good run.
Totally.
So, yeah.
How was that intro? Did I miss anything there?
No, that was really nice and flattering. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really interesting here and everything kind of put in a couple sentences. But yeah, I don't actually know how it's happened. It's been a bit of a roller coaster the past couple of years, and I've always loved riding, but I never thought that it would actually be a career for me, to be honest. And yeah, I'm super lucky to be here and to be riding my bike full time. But as we chatted about earlier, it's such a weird job.
Yeah.
There's not really a playbook or a guidebook or something you can just follow, and I'm still kind of figuring it all out. But yeah, I'm lucky to have good people around me and been exploring, being part of a team this year. And also figuring it out with other riders, and yeah, figuring out the whole sponsorship, and yeah, not being very concise, but yeah, there's a lot to it, and it's probably not super chatted about. I don't know.
Yeah, that side of things. It sounds like it's a whole journey you've got to kind of figure out on your way along. And yeah, super excited to dive into some of that and hear about how it's been going so far. Might be a cool place to start with a big wide open question. But I always love to ask, what is your why when it comes to mountain bikes? What makes you so passionate?
Why I mountain bike? I guess it's the feeling for me, the feeling of riding and the freedom and the mental space you get, when you can't think about anything else, is so addictive. More than the adrenaline. It's always good to push yourself, and I can see it in other people when they are scared of something and do it. I think that's really inspiring and addictive, but really it's just if you mountain bike, but yeah, when you're riding your bike, I just feel so good, and kind of figure more about myself every time I go ride, and other people too. So a lot of the time when I ride, it's with others, or the reason to ride is to go meet someone, and we just you make loads of connections and friendships through mountain biking, and it's not really one answer, but
no, I love that answer, kind of learning about yourself, but then also bringing you together with the community and friends as well.
Yeah, mountain biking is so accessible for a lot of people. Maybe it's not affordable, but there's some level of mountain biking that you can always get out and ride, and and kind of either go somewhere new or meet new people, and I really love it as a sport. And it's funny, the balance between being an individual sport, but I feel without other people, it's not as fun. So
totally. Yeah, there's only so many rides you can go on by yourself before you're where are my riding buddies?
Yeah. And you just I don't know if you had it, but when you ride and you can freak yourself out so easily. You ride something and you run it 100 times, and then I don't know, for me, I just second guess myself, and if I'm riding with people, I instantly so relaxed. And I love a good solo pedal every now and again, especially because I don't particularly enjoy going uphill. So when I do, I'm just happy to just go my own pace. But yeah, for downhill laps especially, or just trail riding and stuff, with other people, it makes it so much more fun. And I feel I get my best riding when I'm in a train of people, and just I'm not going to say the cliche feeding off of each other, but you just, there's something about it, you get so excited for other people, and that then makes me ride better, and I have more fun, and yeah, it's definitely good.
Totally. Yeah, the vibe of the whole group definitely feeds into the vibe of my own riding as well. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people can relate there. And I'd love to kind of dial the clock back even more here and hear the story about how you got into mountain biking and then kind of like why you were hooked right from the start.
Yeah, I got into mountain biking kind of late, I guess, and racing even later. So I just ended up going out with some of my friends in Fort William. And yeah, I don't know if you've ridden there before, but it's like really...
No.
It's cool. It's like Fort William is, I think it's one of the wettest places in the UK.
Well.
And Scotland, the weather's pretty notoriously, moist. But and because of that, the tracks are like nowhere else. It's like everywhere is quite steep, and there's loads of ruts, and it's like a combination of like real tight, twisty, techy tracks, and then there's the World Cup track as well, which is flat out and fast.
Right.
So yeah, I got into riding in the woods, and my friends like just showed me a couple of local ones, and I struggled so hard, but then I guess that's why I liked it so much. It was such a good challenge, and yeah, progressed my riding really well, but to this one kind of riding. So like, yeah, take me to any track in Fort William, and I felt like I could ride it really good. And we had some really good role models in Fort William. There's like a couple riders who race full time, and yeah, and then the bike club as well was super like friendly and yeah, like really community driven. So yeah, so I started riding with my friends, and then yeah, I got to know so many people. And I knew about the World Cup, and when I started racing, I thought like, maybe one day I'll I'll race at home in front of like a home crowd, and like thought it'd be really sick to give it a go, but never got to the point where I actually did it. So when I lived in Fort William, I went to school there. One of my friends from school, Michaela, actually, she started racing World Cups, and we were racing downhill together, and then I decided to come to New Zealand for a summer, and I tried to actually race the World Cup just before I left. So that summer of riding, I didn't have enough points in the end, but what I got to do was sweep the track. So you get to like clear the trail between categories, and yeah, it was kind of an eye opener for me, because that was the year that we had some really adverse weather.
Jeez.
Classic Scottish weather.
Yeah.
But they changed part of the track, so in the woods it was like super steep and gnarly, and I remember one of my friends pulled out of doing the sweeping, so I put my hand up straight away. I was like, please let me do it. And we went, there's me and 2 or 3 other guys, and we had a bit of a brief, and because we were volunteering, but we were like working for the event, they said like, you have to ride within your means, like you're not allowed to crash, like don't do anything silly, like don't be offensive or anything like that or whatnot. And I was like, sweet, yeah, I can ride this track. Like I've raced it before at I'd raced it a couple times at nationals and Scottish races and stuff, and I'd never finished a run. I'd like always ridden off the track, or Len had to like start again and then finish, or had a crash or something, and like I'd get to the bottom, but I never felt like I gave everything like I had. But I was like, I can ride almost everything on the track. I've never ridden the road gap because that's only for World Cups. But I was like, everything else is like sweet, I'll just cruise down. And they're like, oh, if you can't do the motorway jumps, like just roll them, like it's fine. And I was like, no, I can do the motorway jumps. And then they made that new section, and literally every rider crashed.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was like really hectic. Like there was so much mud, and like it wasn't that it was super like intimidating and like steep. It was actually the opposite. So there's like so much mud, and it was quite a flat section. So you do these steps, and people just couldn't hold the momentum through the compression, so you just like crash. And yeah, we all got to the bottom, and we're all covered in mud. And the guy who was meant to be looking after us was just like, he was so off it. He was like, yeah, he's like, you guys are meant to be riding within yourselves, like, and yeah, kind of gave us a row. And then all the feedback started coming back from the World Cup racers, and I thought, I was like, I shouldn't be here. Like I'd love to race the World Cup, but you know what, I'm kind of glad I didn't get to race, because I wouldn't have completed a run. And then I started to see everyone else struggle, and then the feedback came back to that guy, and he was like, okay, we have to try and make the track easier.
Sick.
And yeah, I did like runs, and I got to hear the crowd, and yeah, it was quite a nice experience apart from all the crashing.
Right, okay.
But then yeah, after that I realized, like, I started to watch the race runs, especially of the women who I looked up to, and I was like, do you know what, I'm not actually that far off. Like I felt like a beginner, like trying to get through the wood section, and then I saw that half the women ran that section, and I was like, oh, And then half the guys, like, especially in the qualifying, they crashed and gave up. And I was like, I didn't give up. So I was like, yeah, I left with quite a good feeling and yeah, quite inspired, and then went to New Zealand, and whilst I was over here, lockdown happened. And yeah, that's like a whole other story, but yeah, and then my friend from school, Michaela, started racing World Cups, and it was really cool to see her like progress and like push herself and put herself out there, and it was quite nice for me to just live through her almost whilst I was over here, and yeah, it just kind of encouraged me to when I had the opportunity to go back overseas to go and race World Cups.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that story. It sounds like you really kind of, embracing all the opportunities that came your way and kind of looking to people for like, what's the pathway? How does this all work? How could I maybe do it one day as well?
Yeah, I feel like everyone's path is so different, and yeah, I never got into racing like as a junior or had like my family I raced to kind of like support me, but the way I came into it is like so good for me. Like I knew all of it was like not on me, like I don't know how to say it. It's like all the motivation came from within me, but I couldn't have done it without so many people encouraging me and helping me along the way.
Like internal motivation, like you really wanted it rather than wanting to do it for external validation.
Yeah, definitely. You're definitely better with words than me. I was like,
I do this more often, don't worry.
Trying to explain myself, and it's not something like.
It makes sense what you're saying.
Yeah, it's good, and yeah, I think the people. I see it now, like there's so many kids like into riding and at such a good level, and it's so inspiring that I just want them to continue, because it's so easy to see talent, but at the same time the motivation has to come from within, and without that it's just it would be really easy to fall out of the sport.
Definitely.
Or not appreciate like all the amazing people that you're surrounded with or what you get from mountain biking. So yeah, I think because for me it was so internal, and it took so long for me to actually get into like racing like on an international level. I feel like I don't want to take any of it for granted, and even the worst races I've had so far have still been like, in reflection, like probably the best things for me. Like the first World Cup I didn't qualify, and it was at Fort William. So yeah, my first one, it was like the first time I've been home in a couple years because of COVID, and I think in reflection there was probably so much pressure and so much stuff going on for me that I shouldn't have had any expectations, but looking back on it, if I hadn't like not qualified, I don't know what I would have done. Like, if I'd done really well, and maybe I would have been like, yeah, I can do this, and like it's easy or whatever, whereas actually I felt like the level of women is so high, you really have to like push yourself. So yeah, it was a good beginning, and I wouldn't change it.
It's something I've found so interesting reading your social media posts and like things over the years, is your ability to reflect on perhaps like a bad race run or a mechanical or something that didn't go to plan. And it seems like you're able to reframe all of those experiences relatively quickly and still take something out of them.
Yeah, yes.
Is that something you've had to like practice and like consciously work on, or is that something that just comes naturally for you?
I think it's easy to be positive, but I think for me, like racing, I think it's just to have the opportunity to go there. It's like not many people get that. So even with a crash or a mechanical, it's still like so much learning, which is good. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't upset sometimes. Like you put so much into something, and a lot of the time it's not even in your control. So like I've started to learn that with racing you can put your heart and soul into something, but you can only do your best with your race run, and if everyone else goes faster than you, then it's not a reflection of you, and just having a bit more self-worth and like knowing you did what you could, and and it's quite nice. Like you see people at races, and it's like I think one of the things I can do so much better is I want to be more competitive, and it sounds really silly because racing is about being competitive, and that's my job.
That was something I found fascinating. Yeah, listening to you speak on the Downtime podcast, you described yourself as not a competitive person, and it's like, hang on, is this person that's winning all these races and doing well in Crankworx, taking home podium finishes?
It's so weird. It's such a weird thing though, because you think you're competitive, but like I don't know, you go to a race and you're like, everyone wants to win, like that's no secret, but then sometimes I wish I had more fire and more like angry. Like if I finished a run and I don't feel like I'd given it everything, like I wish I was mad at myself, and then it would like fire me up and like, just drive me more. Whereas in fact I like sit back and I'm like, oh, like I had a good run, didn't crash. Like I had more in the tank, and it's like trying to reflect on that and kind of get more, fire in the belly would be really good, and almost like be more selfish as well. Like I find that's one of the sides of racing that people don't really talk about, is like you have to be pretty selfish and not make, I never want to make anyone feel bad, like it's not to do with other people, but you have to really focus on yourself, and that can be quite hard to do, especially if someone's like, I don't know, at a race weekend, the best thing you could do is probably like just like finish your practice and then probably get changed, do like a cool down and like watch your GoPros and go home, stretch and make food and stuff, or like go back to where you're staying. But maybe someone's like, oh, do you want to go get some dinner? And it's like, it's so nice to be social, and I really want to make the most of being at the race. But to be a better racer, sometimes it's like performance wise that you just have to do what's best for you, and trying to find that balance is quite hard.
Totally, yeah. It kind of reminds me, we were chatting there at the cafe before about finding balance in your off season as well.
Yeah.
Talking about like, still getting enough time in on the bike, but also trying to do some work at the gym and stuff like this as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, how have you been finding that?
Interesting. It's been really cool. Like it's fun to make up your own schedule and like kind of like do some research and try and figure out the best way to do your job essentially. But yeah, it can be hard because I think I could ride every single day if I wanted to, which I do, but I don't ride every day because I have to go to the gym, and like I want to be stronger, and like I want to be more prepared for crashing. And sometimes even like the best thing I could do for racing is probably have a rest, but it's quite hard to say no and like not take every opportunity because I'm so lucky to get them. So yeah, I think everyone's like, oh, I could just like ride every day, and I'm like, oh, I wish I could, like, but yeah, sometimes I have to look at the bigger picture. And even what we were talking about is I'm going from summer to summer, and there's loads of cool races in New Zealand that I'd love to do, but yeah, this off season I'm gonna like chill a bit more, and by that I mean go to the gym and focus on riding and having more rest and things instead of doing every race I can, and maybe stretch myself too thin or doing a lot of traveling, and just really manage myself and pick like what's really important to me or what's gonna really benefit my racing, and try and work that out. So
yeah, it sounds like you're getting wiser and wiser every season, and kind of figuring out how to do this job, which has been a pro mountain biker.
Yeah.
We were chatting, and you were saying kind of like your first season on that world tour, you were saying yes to everything. You did all these events, and you were flying from Europe back to Australia and kind of crazy stuff like this.
Yeah, it was incredible. Like me and Dan Booker, who were both on a similar program, we just said yes to everything. It was so cool, and I wouldn't change any of it at all. But it was so much traveling, and it's super fun. I think we were both figuring out what was really driving us, and like what races really inspired us, and what we wanted to like put all our heart into. So it was definitely really good fun. But even now I've got a bit of a battle for like planning my season coming up. So to decide, I'm definitely going to do World Cup racing, so that's where I want to focus.
Yeah.
But what else can I fit in that also like aligns with my other goals and stuff? So but not take on too much, but not say no to things that I'll regret. So it's like, it's such a balance.
So in the past you've done really well at Crankworx and also at some freeride events as well.
Yeah.
Are they things that you'd like to keep going in the future, or are you going to kind of have a rest from those events for a while? Yeah,
big questions. I think I definitely want to do some Crankworx. I love the vibe there. So like if anyone has been to Crankworx, it's just like so many different kinds of people and different kinds of riding. It's like it's really fun, and I feel like they find the balance of like being really competitive and like really high level racing, and also bringing like people who just want to start racing together. So it's like quite cool. So definitely will. I just need to decide if that's going to be part of my goals as like Crankworx results. But one of the other things I want to do is go to Hardline. Yeah,
fantastic. So you're heading down to Tassie really soon now, eh?
Yeah, so I haven't booked my flights yet, but I'm excited for that. It's going to be a whole new track, so really interesting, really keen to see what they've created.
What do you know about it so far? Have you got an idea of what the track's going to look like, or the mountain it's on?
I've been to Medina before, one of the sickest bike parks ever. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's like twice the elevation of skyline, and like in this tiny little town, there's like almost nothing there. So yeah, really excited to go there. It's where Dan's from,
Fantastic.
but no idea like about the track. Like all I've heard is they've got jumps that are like 110 feet long or something crazy. So yeah, I'm pumped to see what they've created, but I'm also going in with no pressure. Like once I get there, I'm sure I'll feel super nervous, but Tassie's just going to be more of a learning experience for me. And I was really lucky to get to go to Wales for a hardline this year.
Yeah.
To be honest, just like thanks to Jess. So Jess Blewett like was the first female to go to hardline. She really pushed for it, and she's a Red Bull athlete and just so young, but so like such a good rider, and really driven. And yeah, thanks to her and Tanny as well, they managed to push for like a couple of us women to go and like check it out.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. I feel like women in mountain biking has just grown so much recently, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Like I don't think there's a limit like we can reach as long as we have the right support, and the people who run these kinds of events like see value in what we're doing. Like I think there's just a lot of us who are just waiting for the chance.
Definitely, and I think thanks to all the good work that people like yourself are doing and putting your best foot forward and promoting it and advocating for more women in these competitions.
Yeah.
But I feel like we are in a really interesting time where we're kind of like on the cusp of it like completely blowing up, and
I hope so.
So I feel like there's so much publicity right now, both like good and bad, for events that do get a lot of coverage for women and then events that aren't. But either way, it's like I feel like we're on the cusp of lots of good things happening.
Me too. I think there's been positives and negatives, but overall I think it's just it's only gonna be good for women in mountain biking. I hope so. Yeah, and hardline's definitely one of the series that's really like taking it with two hands and being like, we're gonna do this. So yeah, I was actually a last minute addition to Hardline Wales, which was like really unfortunate for Casey because she hurt her head, but very good for me to get that chance. So yeah, it was kind of a bit of luck, but yeah, overall had a really good time and like pushed myself so much more than I thought I would. But again, to do a full run, if any of us like got a full run this year, it would be incredible. But I think we just have to keep going with hardline of it's gonna happen at some point, and it's just gonna take as long as it takes. But yeah, I feel like there's women out there with enough talent to make it happen.
Definitely, yeah.
Yes, we're in a good space.
Absolutely, and it really amazes me hearing about how you got like the last minute invite and you're like, holy crap, I'm going to hardline, and you're still able to calm the nerves enough to perform well there. We had a question actually from someone on Instagram. They wanted to know from you, like, how do you manage nerves and fear? And I feel like this is a perfect example of that. In this case, now you're going down to Tassie, you're riding this new course, there's massive jumps there.
Yeah,
how do you go about managing nerves, fear, and being in a place to put your best foot forward?
Good question. Hard question. I think it's so different for everyone.
Yeah.
Like the way your mind works is the way your mind works is a total mystery. But it's one of the reasons I like racing. It makes me so nervous, and I feel like I can really like challenge myself with it. So everyone approaches races in different ways, but I guess just being honest with yourself and being kind to yourself as well. So in a way, like going to hardline was there was no pressure because it was a last minute invite, so I didn't have time to like build it up in my head and get really freaked out. But at the same time, I was gonna go watch anyway. I really wanted to like see what it was like in person.
Cool.
So I think you have to, like, if this person is asking about nerves and is maybe thinking about racing or trying something, then like surround yourself with people who get the most out of you, like who build you up. And then you have to be honest with yourself and then kind. So like honest with your expectations. So if I was like, I'm gonna come into the first World Cup race and I'm gonna win, and like that's my goal. But you have to be realistic and also kind to yourself. So if I crash in the first corner, I did all the prep I could do, and you have to take all the positives as well. So for Tassie, I'm really scared, and I've got time to think about it as well. So yeah, I'm not really sure, but because I don't know what the track is like, I'm just gonna, one, I'm gonna show up, and then two, I'm gonna go with an open mind, and then three, I'm just gonna like do what I can do here to prepare. So, and then anything else is a bonus. Like, yeah.
That's such a good attitude, and it sounds like a really dialed process. You're like, this is what I'm gonna do, this is the attitude I'm gonna bring. Yeah, I really like that. Is that something that's got easier over the years with like putting yourself into more and more situations like this?
Yeah, I guess I'm still figuring it out, so yeah, I'm sure. Like, I still get so nervous for racing, but I feel like I'll never not get nervous.
Totally. And you say like, oh, I'm so scared, I'm so nervous, but I can see you also like smiling and looking kind of excited at the same time.
Well, it's when you get the most out of yourself, I think. So it's hard to accept at the time when you're nervous, but then my highlights from this year were always when I was most nervous. Like,
right.
To have last year, my first World Cup was in Fort William and I didn't qualify. To then go there this year for a World Champs, which probably won't go back there for 10 years or so.
Yeah.
It would be, I felt the pressure of like a home crowd, and also to redeem myself from the year before. But then also the other flip side of it was every part of it was really special, and I'm so scared and so nervous, but then the other side of that is that I'm so lucky to get that chance to race. And so you can look at it, everything with two sides. Like, if you're positive, it can always be good, but if you're in a bad mental place, then it can always be negative. So got it, like, I don't know.
It sounds like you use gratitude in a really helpful way to kind of like, I guess, bring yourself back to the present and like try and have fun with whatever situation you're in.
I
like that.
Yeah, I feel like this year was really interesting being on a team for the first time, because I was really, like, I'm so thankful to have the opportunity to be on a team and like have loads of people to support me. But then the other side of that I found was like, I also felt more pressure to perform for them, because I felt like everyone was there to help me, and it's like trying to walk that line of like, I want to do good for myself, but then these people put so much into it that I want to do well for them too.
I see.
And when I didn't get a result I was happy with, and I actually was like all right with it when I finished and saw my time, I'd be like, like I left too much out there, or I made a mistake or whatever. But then when I saw the team waiting at the bottom, it made me so emotional. I was like, almost felt worse, because I was like, I felt like I should have done more. But then whenever I talked to them, all those feelings washed away, and it's quite cool. So.
Okay, awesome. So they're all pretty supportive as well, and you realise that they're on your team.
Yeah, but that's it. It's like such a weird thing. You can look at it in like a good way of you got all this support, but then the negative would be that there's more pressure, I guess. But
it's interesting just in riding in general. I think it's so easy to get wrapped up like thinking about what other people are thinking.
Yeah.
I know, even just like if you're on a big climb one day, or if you're like the slowest rider in the group, sometimes like you're not thinking about your ride, and you're thinking about like, everyone's waiting for me, like I'm not keeping up, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then sometimes when you get there, they're like, oh no, we're happy to take a break, like this is good.
Yeah, we're chilling, or like like everyone wants to take a break, or it's an opportunity, because they're like, everyone's so much better, so I can learn or follow them. It's like, there's always two sides.
And then in racing, like I'm sure your team quite often is just like stoked, like Lou did the best job she could do, or if like something didn't go right, like they're gonna be like feeling for you, not like mad at you for not going faster or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's just so much pressure with racing, and it's just so interesting seeing how people deal with it.
Definitely, yeah.
Like,
it's fascinating.
Always looking at the big picture helps, I think. Like, just taking a step back or talk to someone who's got a bit better, like, understanding of what's going on is like so helpful.
Hello everyone, and thanks for listening. If you're enjoying the podcast, don't forget to give it a like, give it a subscribe. And if you'd like to know more about my journey in mountain biking and my background as a mountain bike coach, check out episode number 29, where I dive a little bit deeper into that. Now let's get right back to the podcast. Yeah, and like this year, getting to hang out with people that have like, veterans of racing that have been around for a long time. What are some of the biggest learnings for you?
So at the last race this year, I actually asked everyone on the team what I could do better.
Fantastic.
And I think like just always being willing to learn is like the big thing. And something that came back for me, like in feedback, was that I need a better process. So I kind of just go with the flow and like kind of hang out and obviously try hard, but I'm never like, I try not to put too much pressure on myself. But I think what I could do is have like more of a structure, like I was talking about, and more of a process, and then I can lean on that. And yeah, I just probably will make my racecraft like even better. So
Yeah, cool. It's so cool to hear that you have that kind of self-reflection and you're able to ask like, hey, what could I do better, even though you're out there doing really well already.
yeah, well, just like it's been for me like 2 years of racing like overseas, so I feel like I've got so much to learn. Like yeah, and it's quite a nice spot to be in because I feel like I've got so much to improve on. Like one of the other areas would be like the gym, so I like definitely could. Probably I'm going to the gym, but yeah, just
Yeah,
like
I love how you reframe that as well, like from
Yeah.
like I could to like I am.
I am actually, yeah, I'm doing
Fantastic.
it. But yeah, it's all like, I don't know, it's all just an attitude, I guess. Like, part of me is like, oh, I don't know much about the gym, whereas now I'm like excited because I get to learn loads about the gym. And instead of I have to go to the gym, I'm like, oh, I get to go to the gym and like try something new and like figure it out and feel strong, and yeah, it's quite nice.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. So going to the gym, is there anything else you do off the bike that's helped you on the bike? I read somewhere that you were getting into stretching for a while.
Yeah, I've been trying. Oh, so Dan's got a really good like habit, which is Tabata. It's like this app you can download on your phone.
Okay.
And I think it's actually for working out or doing intervals or something. But what he does is sets a timer every day, so it just gives you some beeps. And so it's like you can set it so it's for me like every 30 seconds. So I'll stretch for 30 seconds and then it'll beep and then I do a different stretch.
Nice.
And then so you can set it for like 10, 15, 20 minutes. And it's just like a nice indicator of like you have these 20 minutes and you get to stretch. And yeah, and at the end of every session you get like a little motivational quote, and it also tells you like how many times you've been doing it as well throughout the week. So
Okay.
it's really helpful. I feel like little stuff like that, like almost treating yourself like not a kid, but like almost in a way of like you reward yourself for doing something like
Yeah.
that's going to benefit you. And then yeah, I don't punish myself for anything negative, but like yeah, almost like treating myself if I stretch. And then now, because Gorge Road is like right next to the gym I go to, every time I go to the gym I go to Gorge Road after.
Fantastic. So it's
Yeah.
like if you go to the gym, you get to ride the dirt jumps.
I get to ride my bike, which
Yeah.
is good, and it's a good like routine for the dirt jumps as well, because I feel like I ride my downhill bike so much, I'm so used to like the way it feels and things, and there's so much suspension, whereas like when I get on the dirt jumper it feels a little bit awkward the first like time after like a week or something being off. So because I'm going to the gym 3 times a week, it's like I'll ride my dirt jumper 3 times a week, so now it's even more fun. And so I get to go to the gym more and I get to ride my bike more, and it's just like, yeah, it just kind of works out really well.
Awesome. So yeah, like almost turning it into this thing you look forward to rather than this thing like, oh, I have to go to the gym.
I have to go to the
I
gym
like
and
that. Yeah.
yeah.
And speaking of your process there, or like the process that you're looking at making a little bit more structured for racing
Yeah.
when you get back to it, is there any ideas there or anything you think that will definitely be part of your process?
Do you mean for races or do you
Yeah,
mean
for racing. Sorry, I
training?
know we're jumping around all over the place. Yeah.
No. For racing, I think I haven't thought too much about this, but this is a good question because it is something I should like definitely do. So I'm going to be on a new team next year,
Yeah, awesome.
which is
Congratulations.
exciting. Thanks. It's also bittersweet. Yeah, it's kind of exciting because it's going to be all new, and like I feel there's going to be so much I can learn from this team. But at the same time, I'm also saying goodbye to lots of people I really like as well, and
Yeah.
also like the bike that I love. Like me and Nick have so much history together, and yeah, I feel very loyal. But yeah, I think it's going to be good having new people with different experiences, so I can kind of learn from them too. But I'm going to do less racing in New Zealand and then build up towards the end of the season, the end of our summer, New Zealand summer.
New Zealand summer, yeah.
Yep. But before
Fantastic.
the European summer. What else am I gonna do?
We'll narrow it down a little bit because I know it's such a wide open question, but picture like race weekend,
Oh,
rock
okay.
up, get to suss out the course, like walk me through that.
So yeah, well, I'll go through like the routine. So I still feel like it's so new to me, but So last year we do track walk, and then the next day we do practice, and then we do qualifying, and it was top 15 that would qualify, and then we do the race runs, and then
Awesome.
that's your results. Whereas this season it's been track walk, practice, semi-finals, qualifying, then practice, then semi-finals, then practice, then finals.
Right.
So the format's changed a lot, and I'm not sure what is going to happen in 2024 if the format's going to be the same, but I'm going to do my research, and I'm going to have the schedule written out for me.
And the track walk, was that something that was kind of new to you when you first started like getting into some higher level races, or is that something you always did from like grassroots stages?
Weird, because like every downhill race has a track walk, but at the same time I never felt like I got a lot from it.
Okay.
It is like, I feel like the more you do track walk, the more you understand what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, everyone says track walk's more important than like a couple practice runs.
Yeah.
So
I guess you can literally just walk up the track and chat to your buddies.
yeah,
And it's not going to give you much on race day.
Yeah, and if you're not used to it, you can look at something and you're like, oh yeah, that looks good, I'll just ride mainline or whatever. And then you get on your bike and it looks completely different when you ride it. So
Is it ever distracting? I'm sure like World Cups are better because you're all experienced riders, but I find sometimes like walk-in tracks or features with my buddies, like we'll start looking at all the things that could go wrong, or like all the places we could crash.
Man.
And it's almost like I wish I didn't look at this before I rode it.
Well, that's it. You don't go like ride downhill laps and like stop and look at all the tracks. Like you don't like go to the bike park and walk a trail and then go back up and ride it. But that's what you do for a race. So I find like everything looks scary as well from below. Like so if you walk past a section, you're like, yeah, I'll take this line, and then you walk down a bit, you're looking at the next one, and you look back up and you're like, well, that looks really steep, like, or really gnarly or something. But when you're on your bike, it's like, yeah, I'd love to get better at picking lines that I think would be the best line for me instead of the best line for everyone else.
Right. So
yeah,
thinking about your riding style, your strengths.
Yeah, and
Okay,
like
awesome.
figuring that out, because it is like something, I think doing track walk is like a skill, and the more you do it, you get better and better at it. And yeah, just having someone with more experience as well to help navigate that part of racing.
Cool.
And also it changes throughout racing, so the better you get at it, the easier it is. But also throughout a race week, like I think a lot of World Cup tracks aren't actually that gnarly, but by the time you get to race it, they're so blown out. Like, and a line that would have been the easiest, safest line at the beginning of the week, or maybe it was like, this is the fastest line, is now destroyed. So it does change so much, and almost some people are so good at racing they can predict what's going to get destroyed and then pick like a different line, or just or even on the fly. Like I think some of the hardest runs for me were like when we practiced and then it rained and then it maybe dried up, or maybe it wouldn't, but we wouldn't know until we did a race run. And then we'd do a race run and I would have to on the fly kind of decide whether I go for like the off camber line or something else, and you just don't know what you're going to get. So like that's something I could work on, but I'm not sure how to predict what the track's going to be like. So sometimes I'd ride a bit more reserved because I think it's going to be like really slippery.
Yep.
And then it's not slippery, and I've just braked down a section and I'm like, oh, I should have went so much faster. But then in hindsight I'm like, oh, well, if I'd went faster and it was wet, maybe I would have crashed. And like trying to find that balance is
I guess it comes with experience, and like now having raced a lot of the tracks, you're going to go back to them with like, oh, last time it was like this.
Yeah, and so many of the tracks are so different. Like the dirt's different, and sometimes in the wet it's really grippy, and other locations are like the rocks are like ice. So it's like it is really good. And I feel like every year you race you get an advantage because a lot of the venues are the same. So although the tracks differ slightly, you do have a better feel of what it's going to be like to race. So you're right, it will get better.
Yeah, it's like the old saying, you never ride a track blind twice.
Yeah, you
only ride it blind once.
Even coming in with like a better, like you just get the most out of your practice. Oh, that was one of the things. So for your question, what I'm going to change is I'm going to be more purposeful with my practice.
Awesome.
So that's like, instead of going and like, one of my things is like, oh, I'll hit all the features on the track and then I'll try maybe some different lines and stuff that I saw in track walk. Instead, I'm going to be like structured, like first practice run, I'm going to do this, second practice run, I'm going to do this, and know how many runs I'm going to do instead of just going in and kind of like freestyling it.
Yeah, cool.
So I think that would be really useful.
So having like an intention for each run.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and it's quite hard to do sometimes when I'm like get distracted and chat away or whatever. But
Well, it sounds like your strengths are your weaknesses, like it is for us all. Like you're a chiller, you're there for fun, whatever. But then when it comes to winning races, perhaps having more intention and being more like business.
yeah, I gotta like switch on and be like
Yeah.
try and take it seriously.
Well, it's going to be cool to see you kind of balance both this next race season.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask, like, going back to like that preparation and the track walks and stuff. Are you visualizing yourself in the third person riding different lines and doing different things, or what does that look like for you?
I do try and visualize the track before I like drop in for runs. I like after I've done a bit of a warm up, I like close my eyes and try and think about me riding the trail, and I think it helps get you into the mindset of riding. A lot of the time when we do practice, we have like a big wait until we do a race run, so you cool down, but then also I feel like my brain also like chills out as well, and you want to be like you want to be ready to go really fast. And I know sometimes when I drop in for a run and I'm almost like 2 seconds behind, and it's good to visualize, to just try and bring yourself back into get focus.
Awesome. So to try and like amp yourself up and
Just
activate the nervous system a little bit.
I feel ready for it, and like
Great.
in a way I can switch it on and like reacting to everything like as it happens. So I
Awesome.
definitely visualize a track before runs, but in terms of like trying different lines, that's something that I definitely struggle with. So I'll practice different lines,
Okay.
but sometimes I'll feel that one line is quicker than the other, but if I timed it, I'm not sure if that would be the case.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Like sometimes it feels fast when we're like drifting around out of control, but sometimes a smooth, clean line can be quicker.
or you feel like super smooth on one line and you're like, that must be faster, but maybe it's just the easier line, but the faster line could be the rough straight one or whatever. I don't know. And everyone, it's really like really a cool challenge like with racing, is figuring out what's fast and what feels fast. Like it's a bit of a mystery.
Totally. Yeah. Keeps it fun, hey?
Yeah.
That's awesome. And on that subject of kind of like having to amp yourself up or build yourself up a little bit to get into that race zone, I know a lot of people I speak to on this podcast talk about like using breath or different ways of kind of like activating their nervous system, perhaps listening to some music before they run. Is there anything you do there?
I think I could probably have a bit more structure, because like throughout this whole season I'd listen to a bit of music, I'd do a bit of a warm up, but it was never the same thing every time. And I probably could. One of my friends I was talking to recently was saying that I think it's called like the box breathing method.
Yeah.
And you like breathe in for 4, hold for 4, let out for 4, and then like can repeat it.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, that'd be really interesting. I wonder if it would help me with racing, because I definitely don't really think about my breathing too much when I'm warming up or like before a race run. I definitely feel a bit more like, I don't know, like excited, nervous. But one of the things I did, I was actually thinking about this the other day, that there was a couple of races when I was warming up, and I like took a moment when I was like spinning my bike and had a look around and was just like, oh, I feel so lucky to be here. And I like be like, in Andorra, it was the view. It was just so beautiful. I was like, we're up in this place, and it's just been such a good week, and just even the weather was crazy windy, so it wasn't like perfect, but I was like, this is I feel good, like lucky to be here. And I had one of my best results, and I was like thinking about that the other day. I was like, I wonder if that was anything to do with it, just like not focusing on breathing, but just taking myself out of what I was doing and like kind of looking around.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Like grounding yourself in the presence and gratitude, like getting stoked to be there.
Yeah,
I love that.
That really helps, because it's a real weird like place at the top of like a World Cup track. Everyone's so focused, and I can't really explain it. It's more of like a feel. Like it just feels very tense and weird, like almost weird. But
So try to like navigate or not get sucked into like that tense nervousness and just be grateful to be there.
I'm not someone who feels a lot about energy, but I was like, if you could stand at the top of like a World Cup track before people are dropping in, the energy would definitely feel like thick with like emotions and like and just expectations or nerves or whatever. Everyone's so like engrossed in what they're doing, but it's kind of nice to like kind of have a look around and think about it and take myself out of the situation and be like, it's quite nice to be here.
And you talk a lot about self-compassion as well as that gratitude. I'm curious, do you have anything you'll repeat to yourself while you're racing or while you're riding or even beforehand?
No. I probably could. Have you seen Cars?
The movie?
Yeah, we watched it the other night, like one of the new ones, like me and all my flatmates.
Yeah.
And I was laughing because in Cars he says like I am speed.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that's pretty funny. But I was
That could
like,
be your
probably
motto.
that could be me. I could be like I am speed at the top and just like amp myself up. But I have felt like the first season I was overseas and did a bit of World Cup racing, a bit of enduro, like a bit of Crankworx, kind of like everything I could, like I had the option to do. I was like, I'll do it. But I felt like a bit of imposter syndrome. I felt like I was like, oh, I get to be here. It's so cool, but I don't know if I wouldn't say I was a World Cup racer.
Right.
I was like, oh, I'm more like, and Louise and I ride bikes, but I was like, if someone asked me like what I do, I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm a racer. I was like, I just felt like I was there and getting to do my own thing. Whereas now, especially with it, like being so lucky to have a contract to ride, like even, it's taken a while for me to think like, no, I race World Cups, like I'm a World Cup racer, and feeling like I deserve to be there. And
it's a tricky place to be in or to find yourself in. It's so cool to hear you've made that shift.
Yeah, just to like, tell myself that I am like good enough.
Yeah.
To race World Cups.
In hindsight, do you wish you had have like told yourself that earlier? Would it have been easier?
I don't know if I told myself, if I told myself last year, I would have been like, yeah, of course, but I don't know if I would have believed it.
Okay, yeah.
So I feel like this year, it's weird because I feel like a lot of racers that are super competitive by nature are like so motivated like that. Anyway, like a lot of people who race have so much confidence.
Yeah.
And or at least look like they have confidence, but I don't know if they actually do. But for me, like having confidence that I'm actually like good enough and like should be there is like taking some time, but I'm starting to believe it.
Fantastic.
So it's quite nice. But
yes.
I wonder how many actually feel like that, because I don't know, even watching other people on track at World Cups, I'm like in awe of all the other women, but I'm like, I wonder if I'm like, they're going so fast, like am I gonna go that fast? Like it's really like, I definitely question myself. And then whereas whenever I've just stopped watching and just ridden my bike, I usually have like my better runs.
Fantastic.
And like feel like I should be there.
Yeah.
So,
and do you find reflecting on those wins or like those good runs really helps you kind of cement in that like, no, I do deserve to be here?
Yeah, I definitely have like such a buzz like for a while after, like every time I feel good, but that doesn't mean I have to win to feel like that. I just feel like I've done what I can.
Fantastic.
And like,
done your job.
Yeah,
awesome.
Done my job,
And like speaking about doing your job, how have you navigated, I guess, like the confidence side of things in like, being a pro doesn't just mean riding your bike these days. You've got to have a social media account and do podcasts and videos and things like this.
Yeah,
how have you found that shift?
Trying to change my mindset with it all as well, because social media is like, for me it's quite a challenge to motivate myself to do it, and even do podcasts and stuff. Like it's quite intimidating, like putting yourself out there for the world to see, and like potentially criticism as well. It's like, it's a bit tricky, but then like if you flip it over, it's like also cool to share things with people.
Yeah, totally.
So social media is like free, and like it's cool to make connections on there. Like sometimes I'll get like a comment, or I get to see other people and what they're doing, and it's like it's really nice. So I kind of need to focus on more of the positives with social media, and probably get into more of a routine of doing it, because to be honest I'm not the best, but I do want to share, so that's good. And then like this podcast, if you hadn't pushed me to come and do it, I wouldn't have done it, to be honest.
Well, thank you for being open to doing it. It's it's fantastic to hear a perspective. I'm sure people are going to take away lots from this one as well. I think you're in such an interesting, like, cool position, and it's really cool to get a peek into like what's that like behind the scenes.
It's not like it's not a traditional job.
That's for sure.
So it is weird transitioning from being like someone who goes to work, and then you're restricted by your work hours, and like you have a structure as well, which is like a blessing and a curse. You can't just decide one day you're not going to work, and like I also depend on it as well, so to live. To then transition into following mountain biking and something that I've always loved, and now that's like to figure out that my worth is as a mountain biker, it like equals my worth as like a tiler or doing any other job. So it's like it's a really weird realization. But yeah, there's definitely a balance. Like when I was tiling, it was like when I clocked in for work, that's when I got paid, and I'd have to do a certain amount of hours every week. But now I'm in charge of my own schedule, and it's really cool, and like gives me so much more flexibility.
Yeah.
But the other side of it is that I never really clock off. Like I always feel like I should do more, and yeah, sometimes I feel a bit lost. So like, am I doing enough, or should I do less? Should I rest more? And like trying to kind of manage that is also
so hard to find that balance when no one's telling you like you work for 8 hours a day and you have
I almost
16 hours off and
I
this is your lunch
someone
break.
to do it. Yeah, someone be like, no, you need to stop. You need to go.
Totally.
Like,
Yeah, I find, I mean, like, just for me working in the mountain bike industry as well, there's kind of so many weird blurred lines between like work rides and fun rides, and you know, trying to manage, am I doing enough stuff off the bike, social media, whatever, and then actually getting enough time on the bike. And so yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, it's a struggle, isn't it? If you're coaching or you're riding your bike, but it's not personal riding, so it's like you kind of have to draw a line and be like, okay, today I'm just gonna go ride and it's gonna be really fun, and then other days you're like, okay, I'm gonna have to work and focus.
Yeah, and if you don't do enough of either, like you start noticing like it's some imbalances there.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
It's cool, like, yeah, I really like listening to you. You really prioritize just riding over all else, and riding for you, riding for fun. And I think it shows, like you're still so stoked on it, and it's not like, oh, you know, this is my job, I have to do this. You're stoked to be here. So
I love it. I love it, and yeah, I especially love Queenstown. Like riding down trails that I know, it's like almost like therapy.
Yeah.
I'm like, if something's like stressful or I'm tired or something, and I can just go like ride something that I know so well. It, like I said before, it's almost like autopilot. I can just go down and just like really relax, and yeah, it's good.
Fantastic. Do you have any, for the people listening, do you have any like tools or tricks you use to try and get yourself into like that flow state, so to speak?
I like definitely enjoy like full runs more now. So instead of just like, in the past I used to stop and talk so much.
Yeah.
I just stopped for a rest, whereas now I like really enjoy like just doing full laps. Like,
right, so you've given yourself the opportunity to get into the zone by riding for a bit longer.
Yeah,
that's a good trip.
I don't know, not trying to go fast, just trying to go fun. Like it's good. I'm trying to think, I don't know if I've got anything for that question.
Well, I like what you said there, just like not trying to go fast, focusing on the fun, because often when we focus on the fun, it ends up being fast. Oh
man, that race on Saturday that I did is like the classic track of like, the faster I try and go, the slower I go.
Right, like, so you raced up at Coronet Peak, which for those that aren't aware is a pretty gnarly DH track. It's got some big jumps, lots of ruts, and
so
I take it it's pretty blown out after that race as well.
It gets like a World Cup track, it's so rough as we like further the race.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely towards the end when you want to put your fastest run is like the roughest run as well. But that one I did probably the best I felt Coronet, and I did a couple practice runs, was feeling pretty good. I was like, you know what, like, yeah, this is gonna be a good day. So I did like my seeding run. I wasn't chilling, but I felt like I had so much more to give. So yeah, I was pretty excited for my race run. Tried so much harder, and I went exactly the same speed.
Oh, wow.
Like to the second. Like I think it was a couple milliseconds faster, but that's nothing. And for the amount of effort I felt, like I tried so much harder. I didn't go faster.
That's so interesting, isn't it? Sometimes it feels like we go so much faster because of the effort or the energy exchange. Really interesting. This has been such a fantastic chat. Before we start winding things down, I really wanted to talk about some of the women's mountain bike camps I know you're so passionate about and you put so much work into.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, tell us about the work you do there, and I guess like, you know, the vibe and the community you're hoping to create through that work.
Yeah, I'll start with a confession. So
okay. Interested.
When I first got into mountain biking, I didn't really see the value in women's events. I just my friends that got me into riding was like a mix of like girls and guys, and that was just, everyone was so supportive. Like I feel super lucky that that's how I got introduced to mountain biking. But after, I think my first women's only event was Airmaiden. It was like a Scottish women who like created this event and just like made it really fun, and my friends were going and they're like, oh, you should definitely come. I was like, oh no, like I'm all good, I don't really like, I could go, but I was like, why don't we just go ride? And I ended up going, and it was one of the best experiences I've had. Like, I guess so many people can feel intimidated, you know, if you're outnumbered in any kind of way, like not just gender. And I didn't realize that until Air Maiden happened, and the amount of support and community feel and people just like relaxing was really inspiring. And
that was almost like you didn't know like what you were missing out on until you were part of it.
Exactly, that was it.
And how would you describe the vibe at an event like that?
It's like fun and loud, and like everyone just feeling so free. It was like
awesome.
I love like every kind of event in a way, but yeah, I don't know, women's only events are super supportive. There's like so much encouragement, and there's no egos as well. Like, and I feel like when you put yourself out there for like say a race, it's really intimidating, like whether you're male or female. And so I think anything that can make you feel more relaxed is like definitely positive, and if that's male only events as well, that should be a thing too. So I just like feel lucky to be part of a couple of events that have really made a difference, and one of them was Formation. So that was like, for me, I like progressed so much going to that event, and Kate Holden just does such a good job of being inclusive and like making sure everyone's got what they need to progress. And freeride, I feel like the field is getting so much bigger, and a lot of it is thanks to Katie and people like Casey Brown, and we're just we've got so many more role models that are like coming out of mountain biking.
It's really cool to see, isn't it? And I love the vibe here in Queenstown. I think we've got such a diverse riding community here. Yeah. And you go to the jumps, and it's not just like a group of like cool guys there anymore. It's a whole community. There's kids, there's adults, there's males, there's females. And everyone's stoked high-fiving each other. It's just like, such an inclusive vibe.
Definitely lucky to be in Queenstown. Yeah, everyone's so supportive as well. I feel like the vibe of women's only events that I've been to before is like the Queenstown vibe as well. Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter how good you are or who you are. It's like, it's very much like just on if you're happy to be there.
Totally.
So,
yeah, and it sounds like you were really lucky with like getting into mountain biking. You had some really supportive, like cool friends that really helped you get into it.
Yeah.
But what you're working to create is perhaps like more of that vibe for other people that perhaps haven't had the same experience straight off the bat.
Yeah.
Or the same confidence to go out and start racing on their own energy.
Yeah, I think just feeling not super confident all the time is like quite nice to be able to help someone else. Like, I think I understand how it feels like to be not, I don't know what the word is, but I'd like to, because I don't feel the most confident all the time. For me, the biggest reward would be to build someone else's confidence up. So I know people, if I hadn't come to Queenstown and people hadn't encouraged me and basically told me I was good enough, like, go and race, like, you can do it, then I don't know if I would have went like all by myself. So I just want to try and give back and like do a bit more of that. So I've done like a couple of women's coaching sessions kind of thing in Queenstown, but also like tried to help out with like the women's enduro here. So we're super lucky to have the Dirttown Queens, which is like pretty much a bike club in Queenstown, but it's just like to help support women, and they've been around for forever. Like, I heard about them before I came to Queenstown, and I truly believe like that's why there's such a good ratio of women like riding in Queenstown, is because they've always been like the backbone, like quietly encouraging everyone to like put themselves out there. And so I've got more plans this year to do like a couple sessions up Coronet Peak. So there's actually some ladies who work at Coronet who are awesome, and me and Jess helped out with some sessions last year, and we're hoping to put on more.
And what does that look like the sessions at Coronet? Is it like a coaching clinic, or you like a big group ride? Like, what does it look like?
There's a bit of everything, to be honest, because we're kind of like making it up. So
sweet.
I've actually got some guiding qualifications, so I'm not completely like making it, like, I'm not completely freestyling, but I'm not really a coach. Me and Jess just want to share like our experiences and kind of like this chat without like feeling too awkward, I feel like. yeah, because cameras and things are a bit, yeah, a bit hard. But yeah, so we just have a group of ladies, and then we'll go through a couple things like how to set up your bike,
Awesome.
like if you have any questions, like if anyone's just like not really sure of anything, I'm sure we can help. We've been through like the most mistakes in riding, and yeah, and then we'll go for a bit of a ride, and then I'll usually like pick a couple points to focus on that are really like helpful but also really simple.
Great.
And then yeah, we'll just, if anyone's got anything they want to work on, we can try and like help them, even if it's like the mental side of thing. Like some of the, like Dagmar up at Cornet, she was saying that she was like, oh, it'd be really good if you chatted about like racing and the mental pressure and things like that we've just been talking about. I was like, yeah, I feel like, yeah, if any of the, like we had some young girls last year who like have done some races this season already, and they're kind of more interested in that side of things. And for me, I see the benefit in that because I actually want a mentor. So I want someone who's been racing forever to kind of tell me like the best way to race and maybe my biggest weaknesses. So I'd love to help some of the younger girls. And
I think so helpful for them, just like seeing you as one, like an inspiration, but also like this is a pathway they could take, and then perhaps you're giving them some of the directions on that process rather than them just having to figure it out by themselves.
Yeah, it can feel so difficult when you've got so many options and you don't know where to put your tokens.
Yeah.
So I'd love to be helpful, and like I'm so bad at getting back to people on social media, but that's one of the things I need to improve on, because I feel like I miss so many messages of people asking advice. And like I've met so many girls through racing, and then we've done laps together like the next weekend, and I get such a buzz out of that, just being able to help and
that's so cool.
Try and encourage them.
And I guess like on one hand you're saying you're maybe not the best on social media, but what's really cool is that you're open and willing to go for laps with these people in your own time, and you're out there doing that, so giving back to the community and in the way that works best for you. That's awesome.
I feel like there's some of my friends here are so good on socials. Like Emma is like unreal. Like
shout out to Emma. She actually helped connect us and make this podcast happen.
She's super cool, like massive inspiration to me, but also like she just connects with so many people through social media, like through her videos and being so like honest and open about everything. Like I feel like she's such a good role model. Whereas for me, I like don't post as much, but I like to think in person, like if anyone I met in the park, like I'm so happy to do laps. And like if there's any like young girls out there or guys or anything who like want advice like with racing, I'm happy to help. So I don't know much, but what I do know I'm happy to share. So.
I think you know more than you think. Yeah. Awesome. So we'll start winding things down here a little bit. But a question I like to ask everyone is, these days, what does a perfect ride look like for you, and why?
Ooh, my perfect ride is no pedaling.
No pedaling, yeah.
So no surprise there from what we're spoken about, but I love a bit of uplift and party trains, like heaps of people, heaps of like friends, and even people we've met in the park, and just running laps of everything, like a bit of tech, a bit of flow. Probably finish up with either some coffee or some ice cream.
Fantastic.
That's like my go-to.
Good times, I love that. Have you got any sponsors or industry partners you wanted to mention?
That's a really good question, actually. Thanks.
No worries.
So I feel like I don't really shout about my sponsors enough, because they all know who they are. But this year I've been riding for Continental Nook Proof Factory Racing. So it's a bit of a mouthful, but Nook Proof and SRAM have been like helping me since I was a privateer last year, and they were the first people to put their hand up and like really help me get to the races. So I'll forever be thankful to them. Like they make sick stuff, and then also the people behind the brands are like lovely. And even though I'm moving on from them and I'm going to be riding for different people next year, I like feel like our friendships will just like continue. And I feel like that's one of the things with mountain biking, the people in the industry are always there and always really supportive. So
and always understand as well that it's like nothing personal if you have to switch bikes and stuff like this. But
it's so hard figuring out the business side of things. Like again, there's no like guidebook, so I'm kind of just like making it up, but
Yeah.
I've also learned to lean on like a couple friends who know a lot more than me, and like everyone's so happy to help. So yeah, none of it's personal, and it's really, really nice.
Awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Well, I, along with everyone else listening, are excited to see what you end up on
Yeah.
in the new year.
Yeah, I'm excited to share it. It's going to be, I've got a good gut feeling about all the people. Yeah, and I don't know if I should say, because it'll be announced soon, but I'll leave it as a surprise just in
Leave
case
it
it
as a
comes out.
surprise, yeah.
But yeah,
Fantastic.
it's so cool working with like a lot of different brands in the bike industry, and like understanding all the hard work that gets put into products, because it's something that admittedly I like used to overlook, is like even just like a helmet is like such a big safety thing, and I used to just buy a helmet probably on like price, whereas now I like think more about it and think about the brand, and like Bluegrass has helped me out for a couple of years as well.
Awesome.
And they're such a cool company, and like literally everyone Continental are making new tires, and like they're so good. Like it's just really nice to see all the effort that gets put into brands. And even at World Champs, a lot of our sponsors came to see us, and for me it was pretty special because I was at home, so they got to see me in my hometown, and like
That's super cool.
the team made a big effort with our pits and gave us like custom gear, and that was it's a feeling. It's hard to describe because I've never had like a custom bike or kit before, and it made me feel really like special. And the whole team was they did such a good job on all the paint jobs. The products, like the helmet was so specific, and the bikes and everything. So and we got to meet the owners of Reverse, and they're just like I thought they were a huge company, but they're not. And for the products they make, it's just like really cool to see how much effort and energy they put into it. It's like so much passion.
That's so cool. Yeah, it's amazing, the bike industry, isn't it? Often we think of like this big brand, but quite often it's like just a couple of guys and girls like behind this like amazing product that they're making.
Yeah, like all the marketing's so good, you believe it is like this huge company, but actually it's like probably a group of core people who like just put everything into like biking because they're so passionate about it.
Totally.
And even like SRAM, I used to think like, oh, it's this huge corporation.
Yeah.
And then like if you've ever been to Crankworx, they're like the main sponsor, and like in Whistler, just to see like all the people who work for SRAM there, like having a good time, and like all the different departments. There'll be like a department to make like the shock, and you get to meet that person who like made it. And
really cool, hey?
Yeah, it's very personal.
And seeing that they're all real people, they're all still passionate about bikes, and they're at Crankworx.
They go mountain biking like at the World Cups. Like the SRAM guys go mountain biking after they've finished the day. And they have huge days like servicing everyone's stuff, and then they'll go for a ride. And it's like, that's what keeps you passionate though, isn't it? Getting those rides in after a big day of work. Yeah, I love it. Hey, if you could give our listeners just one thing to take away from this conversation, what would it be? I think if in doubt, just ride your bike. Like it just fixes so many of my problems and stress, and it's so easy to talk yourself out of it sometimes. Like you just put everything else first, or admin or whatever, but I feel like if you need some headspace, or if you're struggling with anything like a bike ride by yourself or with friends, is usually the answer. But it's probably not the best advice on this podcast, because everyone on mountain bikes anyway.
Get on your bike more. It's wise words.
It's very simple, but I love it. And maybe be kind to yourself.
Fantastic advice. Lou, thanks so much for taking the time. This has been an awesome conversation, awesome ride.
Thank you.
What's up, guys? Just one more thing before you hit the trails. If you enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to subscribe, and don't be a stranger. I'd love to hear from you about any topics or any particular episodes that you enjoyed, and even about any guests that you'd like to hear me have on the show in the future. You can find me on Instagram at _mind_mountain. This podcast, mountain biking, and mindset are all things that are very close to my heart, so I feel super grateful to be able to share these conversations with you. So much love to you all for taking the time to listen. I'll see you next time.